Good day, friends, and today we'll be talking about red blood cells. Okay, this topic, red blood cells, is very important because anemia, anemia or polycythemia, in that majority of the times, red blood cell, this entity is very important. Okay, it's called erythrocyte. Why is it called erythrocyte? Erythro means red, and cyte would be cell, like so red blood cell. Okay. So we'll talk about the general structure. So you need to know red blood cell, at least its normal physiology, so that you could understand its abnormalities, or you could understand the disease states. Okay. So for that, first I'll be describing what normal is, and this is one of the lectures which will help you later on when I'm discussing diseases one by one. Okay. And don't worry if you don't understand any one or two things, or if I'm not clear enough, I will do another whole like 2 or 3 hour like marathon lecture where I take again a complete revision, where I explain each and everything again in detail. Okay. So general structure, I'm talking about red blood cell, so let's talk about its general structure. So if anyone asks you what structure is the red blood cell, remember it is circular biconcave. By biconcave, what I mean is this: you see the structure, concavity, concavity, so biconcave structure. Okay, so it is circular. This is the side view. Okay, otherwise it is very much a circle. Okay, if you look at from the top side, it's circular. Side view is like this. You see right now that it's weird that the side is more as compared to the center. Okay, so this structure, this biconcavity, okay, this biconcavity is very helpful for the red blood cell in moving through the small capillaries, small blood vessels. Your blood vessels, or your arteries, veins, they get subdivided into many smaller vessels, and therefore the traveling of this cell needs to be good enough. Okay, because it carries oxygen, right? Hemoglobin, heme contains oxygen, 4 heme, remember 4 heme molecules on each polypeptide chain. That hemoglobin is in red blood cells. Yeah, so we're discussing the red blood cell here. You need oxygen to reach your tissues. You cannot compromise oxygen, no, very important. So you need something which actually reaches oxygen to the tissues in a very efficient manner. And I think this red blood cell, due to its structure, this biconcavity, red blood cells structure, the general structure is so important that if anything else occurs from this structure, there is a big oxygen transport deficit, I would say, or your organs suffer out of that. Because even do you see this central place, which is the middle of the cell, which is slightly on the dip, the thickness is less, so oxygen transfer also becomes better between the cell and the other tissues, because of its width being small at the center. So it is I'll just read it. Okay, so RBC, or red blood cell, is a circular biconcave non-nucleated disc. Those who don't know what they mean by nucleated, non-nucleated, what happened, I didn't take cells lecture, no? So it will be to those who already know, kind of are familiar with this field, so they know what is non-nucleated disc. Okay, so just remember, nucleus is not there in the cell. Okay, then I'll come back. And what I discussed, the advantages of biconcavity disc. Biconcave, remember the structure I said, biconcave. So what are the advantages of this? It allows, see, as far as what I've written here, allows considerable alteration in cell volume and resists hemolysis. What is hemolysis? Hemolysis is this breakage of these cells. Okay, when these cells burst, so that's hemolysis. Okay, so what happens, this cell structure helps in such a way that these cells don't break easily, so hemolysis doesn't happen. And it is writing, I have written here that this structure allows alteration of cell volume, which means the cell can adjust itself while reaching to the target. Second is, it allows easy folding of this cell when passing through capillaries. Okay, so smaller capillaries, this shape, this biconcave disc really is helpful when it reaches to the capillaries. And then see hemoglobin, remember this hemoglobin, I have taken a lecture before. So hemoglobin remains distributed in the center of RBCs. Okay, so it remains here, that's very good, no? And helps in quick exchange of gases. RBCs totally depend on glucose metabolism. Now this is biochemistry, it's a whole different subject where I can discuss what pathway or when glucose is there, how it gets metabolized, there are steps and energy is given. So this red blood cell, I wanted to just remember it as a small fact, it depends on glucose metabolism. So it depends on glucose. Okay, the cell has no mitochondria, but it has cytoplasmic enzymes. So again, when I'm taking the cell lecture separately, I made a big mistake of taking such things first before basic cell. I understand that, okay? But remember this as a fact. Remember something like a fact. No mitochondria, and but it has cytoplasmic enzymes, okay? Cytoplasm is, again, I'll have to fully take it proper to explain. Structure, these are called cell organelles, is mitochondria. Structure, RBC contains hemoglobin, which you know now, remember this, huh? So where does hemoglobin reside? Does it just reside freely? No, it resides in the red blood cells. So if your red blood cell count decreases very less, that means your hemoglobin also can go less. That means you could be suffering from oxygenation, decreased oxygenation. That's why many people be weak. They need oxygen, right? The tissues need oxygen. Tissues or organs need oxygen. So obviously you realize the issue here. If hemoglobin is itself less, is another issue. That's also anemia. But here imagine RBCs also, if they are less in number, especially what happens when conditions are there where your red blood cells break, hemolysis occurs. Many diseases are there, okay? So what happens, this red blood cell breaks, hemoglobin is liberated, okay? But overall you are becoming weaker because your red blood cells counts are decreasing, okay? Cell membrane, the cell membrane is the outer thing covering it. This is the cell membrane, this I'm shading, see this outer membrane. Apparently it contains pores, okay? There are many circular pores, and these pores are there for free communication. Obviously, no, they need whatever electrolyte communication is there, so it has pores. Spectrin is a protein below this. Below this is another protein called spectrin. This is just to remember, okay? It's a physiology lecture, no? So spectrin is something. So if anyone asks you what is spectrin, what is this protein, remember it is a protein. It is a contractile layer, okay, of lipoprotein. Remember I said lipoprotein. What is lipoprotein? Below cell membrane, remember its location, okay? So spectrin, so remember this word, spectrin is a protein present in red blood cells, remember that, and it is contractile, right? Contractile, and it's a lipoprotein, and it is below cell membrane. The cell has a covering called cell membrane. Below cell membrane, there is where you will find spectrin. Why I'm telling you this is because there may be some disorder where the spectrin is not proper, and there's a name will be there for that disorder, okay? So just remember that. So now composition of red blood cells would be 62.5% water, 35% of hemoglobin, and then rest is whatever remains is glucose, lipids, proteins, enzymes, okay? Majority is water and HB. Diameter of a red blood cell is 6.5 to 8.8 micrometer. Okay, this is like the maximum and the minimum. Micrometer, 6.5 to 8.8 micrometer. The thickness, the average length, average diameter, which is this complete diameter, is 7.2. I've written a micrometer because it falls between them, okay? The thickness, meaning how thick it is, like this. If you keep a disc like this, how thick it is, thickness, 2.2 to 2.4 micrometer is at the edge, at this part, edge, okay? And remember I said this part, dip part, is very less thick. It's 1.2 to 1.5 micrometer. What is the volume? How much can it contain? Yeah, what is the volume? It is 90 femtoliters, remember that, okay? 90 FL, femtoliters. And what is the count? The count is at birth, I've written here, at birth the count is 6 to 7 million cells per microliter. At birth the count of the red blood cells is 6 to 7 million. Males, now at adult life, males, it is 5 to 6 million per microliter. So whenever you do lab test where you try to see red blood cell count, you must always see what it is. Sometimes it's 3.5 million cells per microliter, meaning something is happening. Okay, the doctor gets alerted like, okay, the red blood cell count is very less. Where the issue is it in the bone marrow? Is it because the red blood cells are bursting too much? They're getting hemolyzed too much? What is the issue? Like, is the cell count more than 7 million? What, it is a tumor of bone marrow? What is happening? So I want you to remember the normal levels of red blood cell, which is 5 to 6 million cells per microliter here for males, and females it is 4.5 to 5.5 million cells per microliter. This is an average. Okay. Lifespan, how long does that one cell, a red blood cell, stay alive? It goes past the circulation. How long does it last? 120 days. Okay, very important. There are factors where the cell gets hemolyzed faster, so earlier it will die. Some things happen that the cell lasts longer. Okay. Where is it destroyed? The cell's tissue macrophage system. Okay. You can pause, go back again, and I'll also get another good lecture later on. Okay, with summarization of everything in a very neat, proper way. The importance of these lectures, I would say, is to note the majority of the words. What happens is, when you know even 60% or 50% of something, you could elaborate it later on and you could know more. Now I feel it is very important to know some things. The general public should know more and more things about this. Okay, although it may seem boring, but you got to pay attention. I want to be as detailed as possible. I want to show you what we have been taught, and that's why if I made a mistake and if some doctor corrects me down, it's very good. Osmotic fragility of RBCs. Remember, fragility means weakness. Osmotic is based on the flow, osmosis flow of water. Say, so we are deciding how weak the RBCs are based on flowing of water from low concentration of salt content to high concentration of salt content. Basically, when I talk about something called as osmotic fragility of RBCs, which is red blood cells, it means I'm checking how tough those cells are in an environment where the concentration is of salt, NaCl, is less. Okay, what happens, I have to tell you something, is fluid flows from low solute areas to high solute areas. From science background, people will know. So wherever from low salt content to higher salt content, the fluid moves. What is our goal here is take an RBC, put it in a hypotonic solution, which is low salt solution, low concentration solution. So the fluid around RBC will be rushed inside the cell. So how long can that cell tolerate that fluid entry and not burst is called osmotic fragility of RBC. You're checking how fragile they are when they're put in such a stress situation. Okay, this is my own words, I've expressed this. Okay, so if this thing comes, what is osmotic fragility? If anyone asks you, you can kind of tell, like a red blood cell of RBCs, osmotic fragility of RBCs. You take a red blood cell, put it in hypotonic or less salt solution or less concentration solution. You're checking how much fluid can that cell take before bursting. You're checking its tolerance to fluid overload. You're testing its tolerance or fragility towards solute, excess solute which is inside, and how much water can come inside. You're checking how easily it will burst or how strongly it will remain. That is what you are trying to test. So what is the significance in normal healthy individuals? Osmotic fragility of a red blood cell is 0.48% of NaCl, which means what? How am I describing this? If you see, how am I describing osmotic fragility of red blood cell is by telling you the concentration of how much salt, 0.48% of NaCl, how much salt that solution had when before bursting. Okay, and ends at 0.34%. So at 48%, the cell starts swelling, and then as you decrease the concentration at 0.34 NaCl, the cells totally start hemolyzing. At here, few cells will start hemolyzing. At here, all of them will get hemolyzed. So this is a normal condition. Okay, even if you type osmotic fragility anyway, it will explain. It's nothing big. So look at this. This is very important. Remember, I said the shape is very important, which factor which decides how oxygenation will occur. Remember, just few minutes ago I said that shape, biconcavity disc. Look at this. Osmotic fragility of our red blood cells increases, meaning fragility increases, meaning the weakness of the cell, the tolerance of the cell increases when they become spherical. When the shape of the cell from a disc to a sphere, it becomes, the sphere easily breaks. Remember that. Okay, And where it happens, there's a disease called congenital spherocytosis. Congenital meaning it's there from birth. Sphero, sphere. Cytosis is the cells, okay? Begins at, look at this, it begins at 0.7% NaCl. Matlab, see, cell breaking starts here at 0.48 concentration. Here, at a much higher concentration, it starts bursting, and as you and ends at 0.45. To understand this concept is, the cells, the spheroid cells break much easily, and the biconcave disc breaks much less. Okay. Variation in size, shape, and structure of RBCs. I'm going to teach you this now. These are terms which you can just pick up. By the way, you can pause, recheck what does it mean. So, anisocytosis. What is anisocytosis? Anisocytosis is called variation in size of RBCs. So smaller size, bigger size, smaller size, bigger size. These are anisocytosis. Poikilocytosis is variation in shape of RBCs. Some are like star shaped, oval shaped, sphere shaped. So variation in shape of RBCs is called poikilocytosis. I repeat, variation of shape of those cells which we are discussing now, red blood cells, is called poikilocytosis. Variation in size is anisocytosis. Okay, these are words which you can just pop up in between and you need to know what it is. Then something called as spherocytosis. Sphere cytosis. Medicine is, the words are like this only. Poikilo means variation in shape, aniso is variation in size, spherocytosis means spherical shape. It becomes sphere. Now we'll discuss anemia. Anemia, I'll get a full lecture later on, but just to introduce you, a reduction in number of RBCs less than 4 million cells per microliter. What is normal for males? 5 to 6. What is normal for females? You all will tell me later on. Okay, 4 million. But then the moment it drops to 4 million cells per microliter, or hemoglobin decreases less than 12 grams per deciliter. Okay, remember what is normal hemoglobin of males and females. You can go back to the lecture and check. So if hemoglobin of the person drops less than 12, or the cells, red blood cells, decrease less than 4, or both of them occur simultaneously, is called anemia. This is a very important disease which is rampant and common in India, anemia. Okay, so now you know what is anemia. Either it is decrease of red blood cells less than 4 million cells per microliter, or is it hemoglobin decreasing less than 12 grams per deciliter, or is it is both, hemoglobin decreases as well as the cells also decrease. Polycythemia, this is much rarer, but when your red blood cells, poly means more. Okay, remember this, poly means more. Red blood cell increases more than 6 million cells per microliter. Remember, 5 million to 6 million was males, the maximum how much your red blood cell should be. It goes up to about 6 million cells per microliter. Now I want to tell you what we are talking about, red blood cells, right? So in response to certain factors, your red blood cell concentration will decrease or increase. I want to tell you that what those factors are, such that if those factors are there, you will get a change in red blood cell count and all. Okay, physiological changes means they are normal. So at birth, your child will have more red blood cells than normal because it's natural. Okay, high altitude, what happens when you go to high altitude? There is less oxygen concentration, then there is hypoxia word is very important. You should know what is hypoxia. Hypoxia is decrease of oxygen at tissues. Okay, so when you have less oxygen in tissues, what the body does natural way, it tries to reach more oxygen to the organ systems. How it will do? It will increase red blood cells. So more the red blood cells, more oxygen is carried to the organ systems. That's one thing. So high altitude and at birth, these are normal things. Okay, these are not abnormal. Your red blood cell count increasing. Now let's go on to pathological. Pathological means something is abnormal or something is wrong or it's a disease state. So why it happens here, there's a big explanation which in further lectures I'll tell. So congenital heart disease, if you already have a congenital, don't think that you will sure shot get a high red blood cell count if you have these. Sometimes they can happen, sometimes they cannot happen. But many times I've noted congenital heart diseases, meaning from start only you have heart disease, you have more red blood cells in circulation. Dehydration, you get more red blood cells in circulation. Shock or tumor of bone marrow, which is called polycythemia vera. I wanted to tell you reticulocytes is also cells which are in at birth 2 to 6%. but at once its first week normal counts are less than 1%. This is an important lab value, that's why I'm telling you this. Okay, so reticulocytes normal value is less than 1%, but if you have some hemolysis or your cells are decreasing, so your body pushes in more red blood cells into formation, and you can come to know that by 2 to 6% or it increases that much. Okay, we'll talk about the common red blood cell indices. Okay, red blood cell indices, these are words which you will see in your lab tests many times. People have no idea what it is, what they mean by that. Okay, so to clear your confusion, indices are metrics. Okay, by you will judge things by these metrics. Look at this word, mean corpuscular volume. Okay, this is a volume, it's the space, and corpuscular is cellular. So mean cellular volume of your red blood cells is 90 femtoliters. Okay, 90 FL. Then we'll come to, if I'm wrong at any point, any doctors are watching this, they can really correct me down in the comments. Okay, thank you. Mean corpuscular volume, a volume of single RBCs is 90 femtoliters. Mean corpuscular hemoglobin is called MCH. Many of your lab tests will have MCV, and this is MCV 90 FL, which is very important. 90 it is. Okay, somewhere that range, 90 FL. So sometimes it could be lots, sometimes it could be less. Then what will you call it if it's more, what will you call it if it's less? That differs again. So this is mean corpuscular volume, this is mean corpuscular hemoglobin. Mean corpuscular meaning generally your cells hemoglobin, it's 30 picogram. From 28 to 32 picogram is there. What do you mean by mean corpuscular hemoglobin? Means average amount of hemoglobin in a single RBC. Okay, average amount of HB in a single RBC, in a single red blood cell. Let's move on to the third one, mean corpuscular hemoglobin concentration. Okay, mean corpuscular hemoglobin concentration. We spoke about two, mean corpuscular volume is 90 FL, mean corpuscular hemoglobin is 30 picograms, which is average amount of hemoglobin in a single RBC. The last but not least is mean corpuscular hemoglobin concentration, which you will see in a lab test, and it will be represented as MCHC, mean corpuscular hemoglobin concentration, and it is 33%. Okay, it's 33%, remember this. So what now, see, if your mean now again interpreting this is very important. If your mean corpuscular volume is less than 90 milliliters, it will mean something. If it's more than that, it means something else. So RBCs with normal volume with 90 femtoliters, it's called normocytes. Normal, so normocytes. If it is less than 90 femtoliters, it is called microcytes. If it's more than 90 femtoliters, it is called macrocytes. The words itself are telling. If your volume of the RBCs, mean volume of the RBCs is less than 90 femtoliters, it's microcytes. If it's equal 90 that means it's normal, so normocytes. And if it's more, it's macrocytes. Okay, mean then based on MCHC, this mean corpuscular hemoglobin concentration, which I said 33% is normal, you can have normal then normochromic. If it has less concentration, it's called hypochromic. Chrome means color, hypo means less, so less color. Okay, so hypo concentration or hypochromic means less, hyperchromic is more. Okay, normochromic means normal. Okay, so this is it, and then we move on to hemopoiesis. Poiesis and formations, hemopoiesis, how red blood cells are formed, or how leukocytes, which is white blood cells, are formed. This is the pathways in which how these cells develop from bone marrow and they are released in your blood. Okay, so remember this, your blood cells come from that stem cell, that parent cell from your bone marrow. They mature, there are many stages which it goes through, and then it is released in the blood. Okay, and then they are again destroyed at say 120 days for RBCs and all. So if I have to tell you what hemopoiesis means, you need to know what hemopoiesis means, because especially bone marrow conditions and all, there are abnormalities happening here, the very main place where formation of red blood cells, white blood cells occur. Many malignancies, cancers, leukemias, it all goes down to the formation of these cells in the bone marrow. Okay, so let's talk about hemopoiesis, which is development of blood cells. Remember I said development of, so where development, it's hemopoiesis, development of blood cells that is RBCs, WBCs, and platelets. Remember this, whenever blood comes into the picture, red blood cells which are carrying oxygen, WBCs which are very important in your immunity, platelets come into your clotting picture, clot to stop bleeding. So erythropoiesis is development of RBCs. These are words, big words, but what do they mean? Erythropoiesis means development of RBCs. Leukopoiesis, if you hear this term, means development of WBCs. Leuko means white, okay. Megakaryocytopoiesis means development of platelets. Now there are theories. There are two theories which are very important. Actually, they are not important, as in common people don't need to know this. And what is monophyletic theory? What is polyphyletic theory? It's simple. I won't get into very much detail. Monophyletic theory means there was one main cell, a parent cell, which gave rise to all other cells. Okay, this is monophyletic theory. I'm just trying to make it very basic so that it doesn't matter. Okay, polyphyletic theory is there were many stem cells and they gave rise to their own separate cell lines. Okay, so RBCs, this was for RBC, this was for WBC, this was for platelets, so they gave their rise to their own cell line. Here monophyletic means one parent cell differentiated into many things. Like, that's it. Just remember this much. You can get more details, okay. Okay, we'll go to stages of erythropoiesis. Again, why is it important? You have to just know what usually happens in erythropoiesis, so that will be better. Okay, what is erythropoiesis? Erythropoiesis, formation of red blood cells. Okay, so now you need to know formation of for erythropoiesis. I'll be saying formation of red blood cells. So formation of red blood cells occurs in children where it occurs in all bones with red marrow. What types of marrow are there? Bone marrow. There's a red bone marrow which makes cells, yellow bone marrow which is mostly fat, present inside the bones. Okay, so when I'm talking about marrow, it is inside the bones, long bones, femur, humerus, these are long bones. So all bones with a red marrow, they make red blood cells. This I'm talking about in children. Liver makes red blood cells, spleen makes red blood cells. In case your marrow stops for some reason or another, your spleen and liver takes the duty to form red blood cells. I want you to remember this much. Okay, and you will realize to your blood and all this liver, spleen, marrow, they are all connected. Okay, liver, spleen, and bone marrow. In adults, in you and me, in 18 to 20 years old and above, ends of long bones. So if there is like a humerus, the ends, these make red blood cells, like humerus, femur, and this shaft, this central portion is, it has yellow marrow. As you grow up, these central portions contain yellow marrow. The top and the down portions usually contain red marrow, and these red marrow are very important to formation of red blood cells, especially in slightly adult age group. So ends, again I'm repeating, in adults, where does formation of red blood cell occur? Ends of long bones like humerus, femur. Okay, because shaft is converted to yellow marrow, and what forms is red marrow is very important, not yellow marrow. What am I speaking? Bone marrow forms cells, red blood cells. There are two types: red marrow, yellow marrow. Yellow marrow is mostly fat, it does not form cells. Red marrow, which is present at the ends of the long bones, is more responsible for formation of especially your red blood cells. Where do you find them? Ends of the long bones, skull. Remember this, skull, I'm going to take it, vertebrae, ribs, sternum, pelvis. Look at these places. So if your main bone marrow fails, these places will have some changes happening. Okay, what are the main features of erythropoiesis? What are the main features you need to know about formation of red blood cells? Okay, what happens at first? The main cell, which is there now, which I said stem cell, it is called something, it's called pluripotent stem cell. Stem cell is like always the cell which, heard of stem cell therapy and all, where more cells are formed from the same old cells. So what is pluri? Means many, potent means ability to form. So pluripotent stem cells, it starts there, that one main cell, the father cell, the mother cell, or whatever you'll say, which later forms daughter cells. So pluripotent stem cell, its size is big. So what happens as it becomes into daughter cells, the reduction of cell size occurs. So your cell size decreases and decreases and decreases until it becomes how much? 7 to 8 micrometer. Remember, this is the size of the red blood cell later on, 7 to 8 micrometer. So as time passes, reduction of cell size occurs. Cytoplasm increases in amount and nucleus decreases. Remember, I said red blood cells are non-nucleated discs, non-nucleated biconcave discs. The whole point behind that is the main father cell or pluripotent hematopoietic stem cell, it has a nucleus. It divides and divides and divides and divides, and slowly at one point the nucleus is absent. Okay, and then the RBC they get more differentiated. So look, I've written this. Initially nucleus is very big with open chromatin, and then nuclei are present, but later on it all disappears. Okay, now regulation of erythropoiesis. What do you mean by erythropoiesis? Formation of red blood cells, formation of those cells which are important for oxygenation. Okay, so how does it regulate? Your body just cannot let something off, right? There has to be checking mechanisms. Like you cannot just let traffic just go however it wants. You need those traffic police, you need those checkpoints where your speed is checked. So there are two factors here, general factors and the special maturation factors. Okay, the general factors is main is hypoxia. When does so hypoxia means lack of oxygen, I said, in tissues. Okay, the potent stimulus, like a big go to the bone marrow to form red blood cells, occurs when there is lack of oxygen. Remember one thing, lack of oxygen stimulates the formation of these red blood cells in the bone marrow. Lack of oxygen, okay, or chronic hypoxia or hypoxia, I would say. Hypoxia means lack of oxygen. Okay, so that is a very important factor. The moment you get hypoxia, your bone marrow gets a signal, form red blood cells because we need oxygen here. Why red blood cells are very sensitive to hypoxia? Because yes, red blood cell contains hemoglobin. Hemoglobin will carry oxygen and tissues require oxygen. Okay, what is that major factor which is responsible for giving the signal to bone marrow to form red blood cells? Remember this word, erythropoietin. Erythropoietin, I'm going to say it again. Erythropoietin is that factor which is responsible for signaling the start of formation of red blood cells in the bone marrow. Okay, so the moment you have hypoxia, erythropoietin is formed. This erythropoietin acts on your bone marrow, and thus your bone marrow starts developing red blood cells. Okay, now let's discuss about this erythropoietin. You don't need to go very much in detail. The source of erythropoietin is 85% in kidneys, and kidneys next to the tubular capillaries, there in the interstitial cells it is formed. Okay, erythropoietin is a protein which is formed, a hormone which is formed in the peritubular capillaries, interstitial cells of peritubular capillaries, where in kidney. So to those who just want to remember it very briefly, erythropoietin is formed in kidneys. Okay, this erythropoietin is very important because it acts on the bone marrow. Why? To form red blood cells. Okay, what really stimulates erythropoietin? Lack of oxygen or hypoxia. Okay, 15% of this erythropoietin is synthesized from liver cells. Okay, liver parenchymal cells. So now let's go into a small bit detail in formation and release of erythropoietin. Remember what I said is hypoxia, and where the erythropoietin is formed in kidneys. So whenever less oxygen is detected by kidneys, or whenever hypoxia of kidney occurs, it causes release of renal erythropoietic factor. Just remember this, REF. The moment there is less oxygen and kidneys feel it, they release renal erythropoietic factor, the REF. Now this REF, what it does, it acts on the plasma substrate. Substrate means a molecule. Okay, I'm not going to detail what is substrate and all, because just remember it's like a molecule. So plasma, so this REF, renal erythropoietic factor, acts on a plasma molecule which is called erythropoietinogen. Okay, which is an alpha globulin. You know what is a globulin, right? It's a plasma protein, alpha, beta, gamma, I said, like that alpha globulin. So this erythropoietinogen is a plasma substrate which is also an alpha globulin. And what happens is that REF, renal erythropoietic factor, which is released from kidneys when there is lack of oxygen, it helps, this REF helps to convert erythropoietinogen to erythropoietin. Okay, and this hypoxia also, if you have less oxygen, your globin formation, this globulin formation also increases from liver. Remember, this is formed in liver. Thus, the moment there's oxygen lack of oxygen in kidneys release renal erythropoietic factor. This renal erythropoietic factor acts on a plasma alpha globulin called erythropoietinogen to form erythropoietin. This erythropoietin will act on your bone marrow and will lead to increased formation of red blood cells. Okay, it takes 2 to 3 days to form red blood cells. Okay, yeah, I think we'll end this here. Thank you.